Welcome. Welcome on in to Lost. This is a podcast for women, by women, where we talk about making life easier and better. Hold on, I had something that I wanted to do. It was meant to be dramatic. I hope I can figure it out. Okay, 1 second. Bear with me. Bear with me. Ooh. Welcome to Lost in Our Footies. Truly, being silly is underrated. This is all just a lot of fun. So welcome in. So today we are talking about 6 ways to start accepting your body as it is. Let me lay the groundwork. You'll want to listen to this. So I have structured it as just a little. I'll start with a story because this talks about how we got it. Then we'll talk about how to recognize. You probably know, but just pointers that this is something that's happening with you. And lastly, we'll go to the 6 points. The last one is actually my favorite, so stick around. So I was sitting with a group of girls. We were four. We were four girls just sitting around having a conversation. Then the conversation turned towards looks. So there's the one who's on the diet because she needs to lose a couple of kilos. There's the one who likes this. There's the one who doesn't like that about themselves. And it was quite a candid conversation because we were very different. We were absolutely, there's no one there who looked like anyone else. We were all from very different countries, absolutely. And we'd look at each other. These are four beautiful women, myself included, because I've been doing the inner work. I can say that about myself. Absolutely beautiful women, completely stunning. As in, so sometimes that's what happens. You hear someone saying that they don't like this, that, and the other about themselves, and then you look at them and you're like, really? Really? That's something that crosses your mind. So I've learned that a lot of women do have these considerations because I've had these considerations. I continue to have them. So just these little things that you don't like about yourself. And that made me think. In fact, it was interesting. The conversation was interesting because there was this one lady who was talking about how the things she described about herself. Maybe let's just get into it because she was talking about when she grew up, and this is in Europe, the ideal beautiful person was a tall blonde girl with blue eyes. It's all she ever saw in media, and she looked up to it, and she really wanted to be that person, and she wasn't because she's shorter, she's darker haired, and brown eyes. So to some extent, almost the complete opposite of that. Then there was, I don't know how to start this. Let's start with me. Then I let her know, because I also grew up in Paris. So I let her know that not only was that the ideal that I was seeing myself, but then additionally I was Black. So completely far removed from me. These are the years of Barbie. We're all around the same age. So these are the Barbie years. So you're looking at the Barbie doll and thinking, this doll doesn't look like me at all. And this is all we'd see in the media anyway. And one of us there was a tall blonde with blue eyes. And she said, look, you guys, everyone would think that I am the ideal and this is what everyone wants to look for. But no, she doesn't like herself. There are aspects of herself that she also doesn't like. There's so it's really complicated. That I found that interesting because it's that even the person who you would otherwise think is perfect isn't perfect. Absolutely, I'd say almost 100% of women, probably 100% of women, walk around feeling that there's something about them that's off, something about them that's completely wrong. Yeah, and that's sad. It's sad, but it has been created. It is not abstract. It just so happens that this is how society has wanted us to feel. This is what society has wanted for us. So let's talk about it. So how do you know? This one is the one, this first one is the one that struck me because it's really interesting to me. You see different things when you look at yourself in the mirror. Sometimes good, sometimes not. Let me tell you another story. This is going to be a story session. I don't know if I've told you this before, but I went for a function. It was like a networking function. So we were standing around having chit chat, having conversations. And I had bought a dress not so long before. And then I decided to wear that dress at that function because I wanted to look cute. So I was there just talking to people, having a good time. And then I happened to look at the mirror. There was a bar. So the mirror at the bar. Yeah. So I looked at my reflection, and what I saw was that I was terribly fat. I honestly, it's really a mind trick because I honestly saw myself like 4 times my size. And I thought, you are so fat, you are so out of place, you just don't belong. And I say this not to say that there's anything wrong with being fat as such, but this had been my conditioning from always. It was, again, the Barbie doll was never fat. I was a fatter child. And so that there's always been this messaging from a long, long time telling me that fat is bad. So when I looked in the mirror and saw myself really 4 times my size, I was perplexed, I was disturbed, I was sad. So what I actually had to do is remind myself of the dress size that I had bought. Yeah. It was, I can't remember what size it was. My size, it's not so much that my size changes, but different clothes, depending on where you get them, are different sizes. So 10 to, I think that one was a 12 or a 10. I think it was a 12. So I had to remind myself that this was a size 12 dress. And then that tells me that this figure you're seeing in the mirror, that is 4 times the size, is not true. And it gave me some kind of pause and peace. And then I told myself I need to stop looking at the mirror, because what is happening is that there is some system going on that is trying to steal my self-confidence, trying to tell me that I don't belong there in that space, and then telling me that, and then actually showing me, because it's hard not to believe your eyes and the messaging that's coming from your mind. Then I realized that no, 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 no. This is someone trying to sabotage this whole day, this whole thing. I'm not going to let them. And there's someone within me. It's not that there's someone projecting an image of me on the mirror. No, this is all going on within me. So having that understanding absolutely helped me, because it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And I've seen it more and more. I recognize it more when I see it, because I do sometimes look at myself and think, oh, this terrible, terrible looking person. And it's this recognizing that, look, sometimes the image that you're seeing is not actually you. For me, that was absolutely helpful. Now, let's go on. You're concerned about what others think of your appearance, and it consumes you. So you're dressing, you're looking, you're doing everything that you're doing is, to a large extent, there's a huge space in your mind that is being consumed by what other people think of your appearance. It's such a not a wheel, but it's such a, how to put it, the consumption, the amount of energy that takes is actually exhausting. And you feel that you can't really get away from it, because you don't recognize it as something wrong. You don't recognize it as something you do not have to engage in. You think that this is the way the world works. You have been in this loop for such a big time of your life, when you started looking from the Barbie doll or from the people on TV, that you haven't realized that there is something wrong with seeing the world from this perspective, that this is actually feeding into you thinking less and less of yourself. And the corollary, is that the word? The one related to this one is you spend a lot of time judging other people's looks, and mostly negatively. Let me tell you, again, this is something I never realized that I was doing. But for almost 40 years of my life, I have been going out and looking at people, and the things I don't like about myself, I have been focusing on them. So for me, I guess I can just say this. The initial thing was my tummy. Forever, I thought, because I've been told that I'm fat, and believing that I'm fat, and seeing people who are not fat. So my focus, whenever I saw anybody, would actually go to their tummy, and then I'd be judging them on whether or not they're fat. The amount of focus and energy and everything that this takes. So this is the constant conversation in the mind. It is always, always, always how people think I'm looking and how I think they're looking. If you're recognizing this, let me tell you, there's hope. You do not need to live this life. This is not why you're on this earth. You don't necessarily realize that it's something wrong. So I'm here to tell you that other people don't live their lives that way. Other people have mental space to do other things because they are not consumed by this this self deprecation and this comparison and this, you do not have to do this. And we're going into the 6 steps that will help you get out of that. I think of it like what do you call this thing that the mouse runs around? That thing. So it's this, you're just in this constant flow of negativity. And the more negativity you feed into it, the more negativity you feel. Then this becomes your normal. Your normal is living in this created world where there's nothing about you that you like, because you start liking less and less. Or maybe you just focus still on the same things, but then you don't even see, even when you see someone who looks better than you don't see it in a positive way. You then start looking at them and thinking, what did they do? How could they possibly look like that? There's something wrong with them. They don't eat, they don't do this, they don't do that, that kind of thing. So truly negative spiral. You don't think you're good enough. This is really the messaging that all of this is bringing out. You're just not good enough. That's why you have to keep that's why you have to keep looking at yourself versus what other people are and do. Yeah, because you're not good enough. So that's why you're concerned about their interpretation of your looks, because it's important. You don't feel enough in yourself. You need other people to reinforce your importance. So you need to look good so that other people can reinforce the fact that you are good because you don't believe it in yourself. You hate your body or certain aspects of it. Well, yeah, that's the point. But hate, let me expound on it a little bit. Hate is really big. And because you don't see your body as separate from yourself, you feel that you are your body, then you hate yourself. That's really what it comes to. And even if it's just one little aspect of you that you don't like, your little finger. If it is your little finger that you don't like, quite frankly, it is the one that you see whenever you're doing anything. It is the one that your attention is drawn to. And hating your little finger, while you believe that your body is the totality of you, leads you to hating yourself. And that's a difficult. So when people tell you need to love yourself, you have to unpack all these things, because how do you love yourself while there's certain aspects of you that you hate? Yeah. It's a bit of a tough one, and I imagine that this might be triggering to a lot of you. But the point is that there is hope. There are things that you can do. There are things that I have done, and this is what we're now talking about next. And we start with the first one, which is where did I put it? Don't blame yourself. I'm just looking at my notes. Don't blame yourself. The way you feel about your body comes from a lot of messaging from the media, society, family, and friends. You're not taking steps to create a new story. This has been implanted. Look at this selection of women I was just talking about, from completely different areas in the world, completely different continents. And yet all of us had the same messaging in different ways. Yeah, so it's not your fault. And I've given my own example that having been a fat child, there was a lot of, I was bullied for it. And there was just a lot of messaging across the board that just told me that you're not meant to look like this. This is not right. And I internalized it. And that was the beginning of the little prison that I started living in. So don't blame yourself. If you're now getting into the idea that there might be aspects of your ability to love yourself that have been compromised by your feelings about your body, take a look at it. Breathe in, breathe out. It's not, we are not here to blame you. You should never blame yourself. You can only, how to put it, you can only do and be as much as you know. So at the point when the only thing I knew was to hate myself, because that's the only information that I had, that is all I could do. Once I came across other information that told me actually there are other ways of looking at this, then that is what I have now absorbed, and that is now what I'm looking at. This is available to you, and that's what you're saying. Blame is, there's nothing good that ever comes from blame. There is no positivity to blaming. You're just making yourself feel worse. That is now adding on to the negative pile. Your feeling of self-worth is becoming worse because you're saying, oh, why do I feel this way about myself? I'm wrong. No, you're not wrong. That is shame. Feeling that you're wrong is shame. Feeling that you've done wrong, that is something else. That is trying to remember now. That is I've forgotten. I'm quoting Brené Brown, Atlas of the Heart, a book that I quite like. But that is the first step. Do not blame yourself. Okay, let us go to step number 2. Aha! So this is something that I did. Go to a sauna, a pool, a changing room, etc., where there are other naked women. You will see we come in different shapes and sizes. um, not just what's shown on TV, but don't gawk. This is something, first of all, I would never have thought that I could do. I grew up in when I went to boarding school, but showers were closed, everything was cut off. You do not get to see other naked women. And I thought that was normal. And perhaps it is. But I started when I was trying to get more acceptance of my own form. One of the things I did, I heard a friend actually. Friends are really good. Girlfriends are really good because you learn a lot from them. So there was a girlfriend, there are 2 girlfriends who went to a swimming pool where, is it a swimming pool? No, a sauna, where everyone is naked. I thought they were insane. I thought that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I wondered why would anyone do that? Where is your sense of, what's the word? Piety? No, not piety. Your sense of something that should say that you're not meant to show off yourself. That is not right. But then something within me called me and said that I want to try that myself. And it was truly difficult. It was truly difficult because I was going against the things that had been ingrained in me. So I have been taught that you're not meant to be naked in open spaces. And there's nothing wrong with that teaching, nothing at all. But then there was something within me that was feeling that this is something that I wanted to do. So I did that. The swimming pool that I go to has open showers and an open sauna. So meaning that the showers they're not cubicles. There's just one cubicle if you want to go there, which is where I would always go. But then the rest of it is open. Then I decided, let's try this and see what happens. It was much easier than I expected it would be. I was not embarrassed. I was not ashamed. I was just stepping into a new space where I realized that there's no one looking at me. And that made me realize that there's nothing so greatly abnormal about my form. And I realized that the other people around me were also just women. As I said, different shapes and sizes, but you're not that interested in them. You don't spend your time looking at them. They don't spend your time looking at you. And this has normalized the female form. It has normalized my body, meaning that it's not something that people are gawking at and thinking, oh my God, how does she even exist? And that really helped shift something within me that had been a teaching that was within me that I needed to shift. And I was really, really happy when I came across in a book I read recently. Now I'm not sure which one it is. I think it was. I'll put it in the notes because I think I remember which one it was. And the author was talking about how women do not have spaces for exactly that purpose. In fact, I remembered which book it was, but I can't remember the name of the author. And I really like her. She's a feminist, and she was talking about how the lack of these spaces for women has created a feeling of exactly this feeling that you're talking about. She said that men have these spaces. They have locker rooms. They do this on the normal. They have spaces where they group as men to talk about pet stuff. And there is no shame. It's not wrong. So there's a sense of camaraderie that exists. And for us women, we really don't have that. We don't have that bonding session, whether in a locker room, maybe you have it more as friends, but even that is something that's not as commonplace. Does that make sense? let me put it this way, the locker room conversations and the locker room situations where men are just hanging around in the nude is something that women don't naturally have. And moving into those spaces, I've given you my example. It really, really made me feel normal. Yeah, it sounds strange, but yeah, it made me feel normal. Like it really broke that messaging that was in me that I was completely wrong. And I wish that for everybody, because these things are hard to break. They're hard to break if this is something that you've been living with your whole life. I'm feeling teary. Okay, was that number two? That was number two. Number three, I like this one. Make a habit of looking at your own naked body and find one single thing to compliment each time. You know, now what I've forgotten, I'd created these to be going along. Yeah, use the mirror in the nude. This again for me was difficult. My body was something that I was hiding. I found it silly. Why would I be looking at myself in the nude? Because I feel that I'd be bombarded by all these things that I do not like. Why then spend the time looking at myself in the nude? This I saw on a documentary. Oh, I don't know why everything is moving out. I remember which documentary it is. Let me just make these notes. I want to put this on the show notes. This is the book. This one is the documentary. And it was a documentary where it actually had two women going in front of a mirror naked. And well, one of them was naked, the other one was not, because the other one was the one being taught how to start engaging in that practice. And the point of it was, sorry, excuse me, ooh, gas. The point of it was that oftentimes when we look at our form, at our human form, excuse me, oftentimes when we look at our human form, our eyes are drawn to the things that we don't like. Our eyes are drawn to whatever the negatives are. So instead of that, why don't you? In fact, because of that, we do not want to sit in front of the mirror. We do not want to stand in front of the mirror and look at ourselves. We cover ourselves up as quickly as we can. So instead of that, why don't we draw our attention to the things that we do like? Honestly, like if it is your eyebrows, if it is your nails, if it is your knees, whatever, find one thing about yourself that does not repulse you. Yes. Find one thing about yourself that you can live with and compliment it. Compliment it. Tell yourself or tell it, you are the greatest knees that ever existed. Oh, I love you, knees. You're so beautiful. Next time, do something else. Find something else. It could be something absolutely tiny. But what this is doing is building up the framework within your mind that not all of you is terrible, even for yourself. You do not find everything repulsive. And it helps. It's really, really these small incremental things that can help you get out of this mindset that everything is wrong. Tiny little steps, but that are super powerful, much as they are tiny. Why in the nude? How else do you see them? And you don't have to be there like for hours on end. I honestly do this every day now. Absolutely every day. In fact, I do it twice a day. Whenever I come out of the shower, I just take a second, look at myself, and say, compliment. And the more I've been doing it, the more I find things to compliment. And it's really, again, because what we're doing is shifting. These are beliefs that are ingrained within your subconscious. They're things that you so completely believe about yourself that it's almost impossible for you to see. So when you start doing these things, you're questioning the belief. You're telling yourself that though I do not think that my body is great, I have found one thing about my body that is great. Could be your knuckle. I found this one thing that I feel is great, which means that it is not true to say that everything is wrong. Small, but super, super, super powerful steps. Okay, let's go to the next one. Oh, 4. Challenge a voice that tells you that you're not all that. Seek concrete examples. And whose voice is it? This is an important one. What happens, like, take the example of when I looked at myself in the mirror when I was out at that networking function. Whose voice is it that was telling me that, look at yourself, you are huge, you are so, so big? Whose voice was that? Probably in my case, it would be uneasy to tie it into the bullies because I was bullied. And once, I'm not sure it was actually, I'd have to think about whose voice it was at the time. But in that case, if I could tie it in so directly to the bully, then it's easier to understand that even though that voice sounds completely like me, even though that it's the sound sounds exactly like me, I think that it is my thoughts. I think that it is me thinking this, and I see it in the mirror projection. Then I come to realize that actually this is external information. This is not information from yourself. This is external input that you have taken, that you have now believed. And this leads to inner child work. How your inner child, in my case, because I was bullied as a child, what your inner child has kept. Because these messagings are kept internally by your inner child based on the different ages at which the different things happened. So if you're super, super young when the messaging started, it is your inner child who is locked in that space in time at that age who believes these things. And I do a lot of inner child work with my clients, and I do quite appreciate it. And it's quite surprising for them to be able to see that within themselves, there is this aspect that they can actually reach out to and see. Usually when we are ourselves, we don't realize that there are aspects of ourselves that are separate, parts within us. So when they are actually able to go in and find an inner child who has a certain belief, it is super powerful. It is truly powerful, and I love doing that with them. I love doing that with myself. And it really, again, breaks. This is what we're doing. We are breaking this single narrative that has been in place, and we're saying, no, you're not stuck because of yourself, and there are elements about it that you can tear apart. All right. Let's see, what's the next one? Write down compliments. Write it down whenever you get a compliment. Say thank you, take note, and refer to it from time to time. This, I don't know where I picked this one up from, but it's something that I started doing over a set period of time. I gave myself, I think, a month. I had been feeling low. I had been feeling very low. Then I just decided to start writing compliments whenever I get them. Regardless of what they are, I would just write them down, and every once in a while I'd go back to them. I can't begin to tell you how liberating that one was, because first of all, you need to be able to accept the compliments. So when someone tells you whenever anyone gives you a compliment, say thank you and zip it. Just zip it. Thank you, and that's it. Why we are, again, I had the habit of not accepting compliments. I did not feel I deserved it. So whenever someone gave me a compliment, I'd either start saying no, or I'd throw one back. That happened to me recently. Let me tell you how it feels. I was I guess where I was doesn't really matter, but there was a girl who was looking absolutely fantastic. She looked fabulous, and when I passed her, I let her know. I let her know that she looks absolutely great, and she immediately shot back, "So do you." So now the context does matter. We were outside, so I was wearing a coat, so she couldn't really see. Other than the coat, she couldn't really see what I was wearing, and I could tell that she hadn't taken the time to internalize the compliment. She automatically, it was just an automatic reaction. "You look great, so do you." So then I understood that she hadn't taken my compliment, and it made me feel, what's the word? I felt rejected. I felt that my compliment had been rejected, and it didn't feel good. Her telling me that I look great was not positive for me, because it was a rejection. It was like she had put a shield, a shield against the compliment that I gave her, and she was just bouncing it back. And I didn't feel nice. That's what happens. That's what happens when you throw back compliments. And this can be in any case. This is when someone tells you you look great and you tell them, I got this at the discount store or this, that, and the other. Just accept it. A compliment is a gift. Accept the gift. The ability to receive a compliment is actually something you need to work on. And I'm giving you the tools. The tools is actually say thank you, zip it. Don't say anything else. Just say thank you. Even if you're cringing inside and you have all these things you want to say, just take that habit. Do it. Do it. Do it. So, um, when you're writing down the compliments that you're receiving, what you're doing is again shifting these teachings that you have in yourself that maybe there's nothing good about you. It could be about your looks, it could be about anything else. But this is such a confidence boost, especially when you're feeling low. Because you look at these and then you realize that some of these messages you're given are so powerful. I remember in that section, there's a message I was given that was so, so powerful. It's something that I had been not struggling with, but something that had been disturbing me. And this person came and told me this about it, and I felt renewed. I felt I felt amazed that they had recognized that this is something, it's something that I was doing, so that they had recognized it and that it they had taken enough time to look at it and break it down and tell me the elements about it that they felt was were worth complimenting, that were great. And it's such a powerful thing. And in your task of receiving compliments, give them away as well. Compliments are free. I actually make a point nowadays. It's something I started a long time ago. But when I see something worth complimenting in somebody, I'll tell them. There was a lady, a stranger, when I first moved into this country. I live in Sweden, and one of the things I was taught is that people are cold, people keep to themselves, and I was having a bit of a difficult time. And there's a day a lady stopped me in the street and she said something, but then she said it in Swedish. And then I was already feeling removed because I don't speak the local language, and then I was just feeling bad. And then I told her I don't speak Swedish. Could she say that in English? And she did. She stopped again. She was an older lady, and she stopped again and just said that your dress is beautiful. Oh, do you see the power of that? That is changing the narrative that I had gotten that people in this country are not going to be friendly. So it changed for me that narrative. It made my day great. I felt happy. I was walking on a cloud. The power of the compliment. Okay, let's go to the last one. So this this is the one that for me is my favorite. Address the issue. If you want to lose weight, pick up an activity that will get you there. Be okay. Be it as small as a 10-minute walk. Sometimes I can't read my own handwriting. So I started an activity where I would walk for 10 minutes every day. Why? Because I wanted to move my body. But my point of this is that actually that's my point. How whether or not I needed motion, and I felt that I did not have enough motion, especially in the winter months when it's very cold. I don't enjoy being outside as much. So I have a treadmill. So I would start just walking 10 minutes a day. And everyone would ask me, why would you be walking for 10 minutes? What could possibly be the advantage of walking for 10 minutes? I'll tell you the advantage for me. It raised my mood. Just the motion raised my mood. So anyway, my point here being that find something. It could be start small. You don't have to start with um going for this massive workout that takes 3 hours a day every day. No. Why? That is self-defeating. Well, if you do that, you're unlikely to go along with it. But start small. And that was the example for losing weight. If you want, if nothing fits you, get styling advice even online. I went from this function where I met a lady who was a personal stylist, and I'm trying to get her on the podcast. I hope she comes, because that's also it's an important topic, how you look and how that affects how you feel. So get a personal stylist, go online. There's so much material online. There's so many beautiful, wonderful, amazing girls giving input, advice on how they managed it themselves. Different body types, different body shapes, and I mean, you can pick a couple of things. I learned about color. This one I won't be able to remember because I can't remember who she was. But there was a YouTuber, a young girl, who taught me about color. I didn't realize that the different colors you wear, that, how to put it, your skin tone affects the colors that look good on you. And how she put it was that there are clothes in your wardrobe that you don't wear and you don't know why. She says it is because when you wear it, you don't like what you see. And it could be because of the color. The color doesn't go with you. Because no one ever told me this. the thing about the thing about colors, it's not the color itself, it's the shade of the color. So to greatly botch her advice, but give it to you anyway. Her point was that darker people go with darker colors. So even if it's pink, a darker shade of pink, whereas lighter people go with lighter colors, a fairer shade of pink. So meaning it's not the color itself that you can never wear. You just need to find the tone that suits your tone. Who knew? The internet. There you go. The last one I have is plastic surgery, which is actually a point that came up in the conversation I was having with the four girls. Let me tell you this. There's a friend of mine. I wonder if all my friends will be wondering about how I keep outing them. Sorry. But there's a friend of mine who one day casually mentions the way she had taken some time off work. And I was asking her, "Are you okay? Is everything fine?" Then she says that she had gone for a nose job. And I was like, what? What? What do you mean? Is this something, first of all, that you have done? And secondly, that you have just told people at work loosely? Yes, she was not ashamed. She said that she just didn't like the way her nose looked. All her life, she's never liked it. And then she decided to go and get a nose job. She took time off work. She gave the reason that it's for medical reasons because she's getting a nose job. She did her nose job. She was happy with the way it came out, and then she went to work. Between you and me, and this is an important point, and I hope it's not diminishing it, but I couldn't tell. I personally couldn't tell the difference between her nose job before and after. Why? Because her nose had never been something that I noticed. And this is the thing about how you feel other people are looking at your body. The thing that you think is the greatest flaw is something that people are probably not noticing. Everyone is living in their own head, having their own movie. They don't have time to notice these little things that you think are terrible. So I found that so empowering, that this is something that for her had disturbed her whole life. And she decided, look, I have the means, I have the funds. This is then something that I'm going to look into. And I say this, I take her example specifically because she was not ashamed. A lot of us shame. We are taught to shame people who go through plastic surgery. We are taught that it is them not accepting themselves as they are. Look, if you spent your life not accepting yourself as you are, and you have an opportunity to do something about something that you do not like, do it. Do it. Of course, get let me not say do it. Look into it. Look into it. Go speak to a doctor and see if it's a viable option. Go speak to a therapist as well to understand the reason why you want to do it. Because you might find that it's a super huge surgery that will not make you feel better about yourself after you've done it. So you really need to go into the why that you want to do it. And I think I had another point about it. Yeah, research it. Just understand before you do any kind of procedure. Research it to understand what it means, how it's done, how it feels like, where in the world you should do it, and that kind of aspect. Then you're making an informed decision. But the point I really wanted to get in is to de-emphasize the shame. There is no shame. No, go look into it, but there shouldn't be. We also need to stop looking at people who we think have had work done as sellouts. We need to stop, and this goes back to one of the previous points, this thing of looking at other people and judging them, especially negatively. Don't. If you're doing that, maybe more likely than not, it's because they've done something, they've had the guts to do something that you would want to do, or they had the funds to do it and you couldn't do it. Yeah. So that is my last point. I absolutely appreciate you girls. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you've liked this content, please like, subscribe, tell a friend, and let's keep doing this. Let's keep having these important conversations about things that make our lives better. Thank you, gorgeous. I appreciate you and your time. Bye-bye. See you next time.